Ravens fan, the biggest decision of the offseason has just been revealed, and it could completely change the future of the team. The offensive line has always been a cornerstone of this franchise, but now the Ravens have an urgent problem to solve. Who's going to protect Lamar Jackson's blind side? Ronnie Stanley is heading into free agency, and the team must decide whether to spend a fortune to keep him or look for a younger, cheaper replacement. What makes this decision even harder is that one wrong move could jeopardize the quarterback's protection and the entire offensive performance next season. Stick around until the end, because the behind the scenes of this decision are more complicated than they seem, and its impact might surprise a lot of people. Go Ravens! If there's one thing that has made the Ravens a strong team over the years, it's the protection Lamar Jackson has received. And a big part of that comes down to one name, Ronnie Stanley. Since 2016, he's been the shield for our quarterback, holding off defenders and giving Lamar the time he needs to make magic happen. A reliable left tackle like him doesn't come around often, which is why his potential departure could change everything for this offense. It's not just about experience. It's about keeping the team's most important players safe. If the offensive line isn't solid, the Ravens' entire offensive scheme could suffer. Stanley's impact goes far beyond just blocking. With him on the field, Baltimore has always had an offensive line that supports both the running and passing game. Now, with the Ravens throwing the ball more than in previous years, protecting Lamar in the pocket has become even more crucial. Stanley may not be at his physical peak anymore, but his intelligence and technique still make him one of the best in the NFL. However, none of that matters if he's not available, and that's been the biggest issue. His injury history makes investing heavily in him a serious risk. The big question now is whether it's worth paying a high price to keep Stanley, or if the Ravens need to think about bringing in someone new for the job. He's already 30 years old, and the market shows that top-tier tackles are landing contracts worth $20 million per season. Baltimore has proven it knows how to rebuild its offensive line with younger players, and that might be the most logical approach. But is letting go of a veteran like Stanley the right move for a team trying to win a Super Bowl? This is the toughest decision of the offseason. No matter what happened, one thing is certain. The Ravens need to address the situation quickly. If Stanley stays, the team secures stability and experience. If he leaves, Baltimore must have a solid plan to find a worthy replacement. And the biggest challenge is the financial aspect, because keeping Stanley could mean sacrificing reinforcements in other key positions. Re-signing Ronnie Stanley isn't just about on-field performance. It's about money too. The left tackle market is inflated, with less talented players already securing contracts worth $20 million per year. This means that if the Ravens want to keep Stanley, they'll have to open their checkbook and commit a significant portion of their salary cap. The problem is that Baltimore has other priorities, like re-signing Justin Madabike and strengthening other key positions. The franchise has to decide if it's worth investing heavily in a player who, despite his skill, has struggled with injuries in recent years. The Ravens have always been disciplined when it comes to contracts. They prefer to pay for future performance, not past accomplishment. That's the dilemma with Stanley. He can still play at a high level, but is it worth paying a premium for a player who may not have many years left? Recent history shows that Baltimore isn't afraid to make tough calls, like when they let veteran players walk to invest in younger, more affordable options. That could happen again here. The Ravens might be ready to move on and find a new solution at left tackle. On the other hand, letting Stanley go means stepping into uncertainty. The free agent market doesn't always offer reliable solutions, and even if the Ravens save money by not re-signing him, there's no guarantee they'll find a replacement of the same caliber. Drafting a rookie could be a long-term solution, but there's always an adjustment period. A young player might struggle against experienced NFL pass rushers, and that instability could directly impact Lamar Jackson. The offense has finally found a rhythm, and losing a pillar on the offensive line could disrupt that progress. Whatever the decision, the Ravens can't afford to make a mistake. Keeping Stanley means spending big and risking his durability becoming a problem. Letting him walk creates a hole at the most important spot on the offensive line. The only certainty is that if Stanley doesn't stay, Baltimore needs to have a backup plan ready, and that's where internal options and the draft come into play. If Stanley doesn't return, the Ravens already have some in-house options to consider. Roger Rosengarten, their second-round pick in the last draft, is one of the top candidates to step in Even though he was drafted as a right tackle, he has the traits to potentially transition to the left side. Developing Rosengarten could be a cheaper and safer path for the Ravens, but they need to be sure he's ready to take on that responsibility. Protecting Lamar Jackson's blind side isn't a job for just anyone. Beyond Rosengarten, Baltimore could look to the draft for another solution. This year's tackle class is considered strong, and the Ravens will have the chance to pick a promising young talent without spending a fortune on a veteran. The downside is that even the most talented rookies need time to adapt. Facing elite pass rushers in the NFL as a rookie can be overwhelming, leading to potential instability on the offensive line. The Ravens must decide if they're willing to take that risk or if they'd rather go with a more proven option in free agency. Another possibility is bringing in a temporary solution from the free agent market. The team could sign a veteran to a short-term deal, giving a younger player time to develop without being thrown into the fire right away. This strategy has worked in the past, with the Ravens bringing in experienced players to fill gaps while grooming future starters. However, the free agent market doesn't always offer affordable options, and finding a dependable left tackle without breaking the bank could be a major challenge. At the end of the day, it all comes down to what the Ravens prioritize. If stability and experience are the goal, keeping Stanley might be the best move. If they want to build for the future, investing in Rosengarten or a rookie tackle could be the right choice. But whatever decision they make, one thing is clear: the durability and reliability of their next left tackle will be crucial for the team's success. We're already past the halfway point of the video, but before we continue, I notice you haven't hit the like button yet. That's really important because it helps YouTube keep recommending my content to you, so I can keep bringing you the latest Ravens updates. So go ahead and smash that like button. It's free. All right, let's keep going. Even after a strong season, Stanley is already 30 years old and has a concerning injury history. He's been playing at a high level again, but no one knows how long he can maintain this pace. The major risk for the Ravens is investing a significant amount and then realizing in a few years that he can no longer perform at the same level. The franchise needs to think long-term, as it wouldn't make sense to hold on to Stanley now only to face more physical issues later, coupled with a hard-to-manage contract. Baltimore needs a left tackle who can play every game of the season without compromising Lamar Jackson's protection. Another crucial point is that the Ravens are passing the ball more than ever. This means the pressure on the offensive line has increased, and a solid left tackle is essential to prevent Lamar from being exposed. Stanley has the experience and technique to handle this challenge, but does he still have the physical ability to fend off the NFL's best pass rushers? This is a major factor in the team's decision, as a physical decline could jeopardize the entire offensive structure that Baltimore has built in recent years. If the Ravens opt for a younger player, the team must ensure the transition is smooth. They can't simply replace a seasoned veteran with an inexperienced name without a solid adaptation plan. The left tackle position is one of the hardest to replace, and if Baltimore doesn't manage this change strategically, Lamar might end up suffering the consequences on the field. The stability of the offensive line has been one of the reasons for the team's recent success, and any drastic changes could directly impact the offense's performance. The Ravens' decision is not an easy one. Keeping Stanley means betting on experience, but taking on the risk of physical decline and high cost. Searching for a replacement could ensure a more stable future, but comes with the challenges of adaptation. If Baltimore wants to maintain Lamar Jackson's protection level, they need to consider all options, including using the franchise tag to keep Stanley for at least another year. If the Ravens want to keep Stanley for another year without a long-term commitment, the easiest path would be to apply the franchise tag. This would keep the left tackle on the roster for one more season, ensuring continuity in Lamar's protection. The problem is that the tag for a left tackle could cost more than $20 million, which would consume a significant portion of the Ravens' salary cap. This would be a short-term solution, but it might limit the team's ability to make other important moves in the offseason. An alternative would be to simply move forward and trust the options already available on the roster or in the draft. The Ravens have shown in the past that they're not afraid to refresh the offensive line with younger players. If Stanley leaves, Baltimore could use a high draft pick to select a new left tackle and start developing a promising talent right away. This would ensure a more financially sustainable future, but would come with the natural challenges of putting an inexperienced player to protect Lamar Jackson immediately. Regardless of the decision, the Ravens cannot afford to make a mistake. The offense has finally found balance under Todd Monken's leadership, and any drastic change to the offensive line could disrupt that progress. If Stanley stays, The team maintains stability, but compromises the budget. If he leaves, Baltimore needs to act quickly to prevent Lamar's protection from suffering. The only certainty is that the Ravens will make this decision with the team's future and competitiveness in mind. Now, the big question is the team ready to move on without Stanley, or does it still need him to remain at the top of the NFL? The Ravens are facing one of the most important decisions of the offseason. Re-signing Ronnie Stanley would mean keeping experience and security on the offensive line, but at a high price. On the other hand, choosing a cheaper, younger path may bring risks, but also opens up space to strengthen other areas of the roster. Whatever the choice, it will directly impact Lamar Jackson's protection and how the offense will be structured for the upcoming season. What do you think the Ravens should do? Keep Stanley and ensure stability, or search for a new name for the position? Share your opinion in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates on the Ravens offseason.